You've taken the prescription drug Plavix, and you may have heard some recent news. The FDA has approved a number of generic manufacturers to begin to sell Plavix as a generic. My name's Dan Burke, and I'm a lawyer at Parker Waichman in New York, and I handle claims of people who've been injured as a result of taking Plavix. Recently, our FDA is permitting a number of generic drug manufacturers to start selling Plavix to consumers and patients. Now, while typically dosage of Plavix may cost $200 per month for the brand name, it's expected that the generic manufacturers will be able to sell Plavix to consumers at approximately $40 per month. And while at first blush that may seem like a benefit to consumers, this approval for the generic sale of Plavix comes on the heels of hundreds of lawsuits being filed in the past 6 months against the makers of Plavix, alleging bleeding events. Plavix is used to thin the blood. It's called an antiplatelet drug, and it prevents the platelets or the components of the blood from aggregating or coming together to cause clots. It's often used in patients for primary prevention of heart attacks and strokes, which means just to prevent a heart attack and stroke from happening if you have atherosclerosis or some other kind of problem that would potentially lead to that. It's also used in patients who've recently received stents to make sure the blood continues to flow through the stent and a clot isn't caused. Now, the recent lawsuits that have been filed against the manufacturers of Plavix allege bleeding events including gastrointestinal bleeding, which is bleeding inside the stomach or intestines, as well as cerebral bleeding or hemorrhagic stroke, which is essentially bleeding in the brain. It also can cause a condition known as TTP, or thrombotic thrombocytopenic purpura, which is a blood clotting disorder that can ultimately be fatal. So any of these bleeding events, whether it's gastrointestinal bleeding, cerebral bleeding, or this condition known as TTP, can be fatal conditions. If you've taken the prescription drug Plavix or are planning to take the generic versions of Plavix, and you're concerned about the potential for side effects, or you've perhaps suffered a bleeding event, I'd like you to pick up the phone and give us a call. We deal with questions concerning this drug on a daily basis. We filed a number of lawsuits against the manufacturers of the drug, and we can help you out. Again, my name's Dan Burke. I'm a lawyer at Parker Waichman in New York, and I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time to listen today.